Only 2 years ago, I thought I had everything I ever needed and wanted to call myself happy. A good management role in the company that I founded 10 years before, a new startup taking off in the US, a personal dream of mine, a life that overnight became about international flights, pitches to investors, public recognition. The more I had, the more I wanted. I developed an addiction. I was addicted to being defined the Italian founder that will change made in Italy one bag at a time. Those kind of headlines were fueling me up. But like many other startups, mine was not destined to last. And after a brief peak, it started slowing down to the point where 1 year after launching, I lost everything. All of my savings were gone, and along with them, my hopes, my vision, my pride, and a piece of myself. The hole in my chest was getting bigger and bigger each day. And the negative spiral that I created for myself was making me take one bad decision after the other. Just because I couldn't let go. It's unbelievable how often we convince ourselves that only by getting a certain job, a certain role, a certain status, we will be, in fact, happy. But that kind of happy usually stands for getting known, getting worshipped, getting famous, getting recognized. It has nothing to do with happiness itself. In May 2018, I reached what now I know was my breaking point. Everything around me was saying, you have to change this narrative. But all I can hear is, you have to get out of here. I thought that only by taking myself out of the equation, I could have changed my reality. And that's what I did. In a very goofy attempt to change the reality, I packed a very heavy suitcase, I kissed everybody goodbye, and I left. And I went to my happy place on earth, Manhattan, not the calmest environment. When I got there, I had a little welcoming committee waiting for me. Karma, the universe, every higher power was basically waiting for me at the airport. But they didn't have a friendly sign with my name on it. They had a sign that said, you shouldn't have run away. A classic life lesson that too often we forget about. I was given such a challenging start in the city that I remember standing at the corner of 32nd Street and 7th Avenue, outside of Penn Station, one of the busiest subway stations in Manhattan, under the rain, looking up at the sky and saying aloud, I get it, universe, I did it again. I made another bad choice. Please, give me a break. They must have heard me. Not the people around me, because in New York, nobody cares if you yell at the sky, but, the higher power. Or maybe it was just the Airbnb goddess that plotted everything for me. And I was introduced to Kay. Kay was the reason why I was able to crawl back from under my rock of shame. She became my savior. She became the land after the shipwreck. People that think that women are mean to each other, constantly fighting with each other, never met someone like Kay. In our days together, we were able to discuss everything. Dreams, projects, failures, heartbreaks, bankruptcy, past, present, future. We covered every topic. Sitting on the floor of her apartment in Harlem, a lifelong bond was formed, and I felt this huge weight coming off my shoulders. I felt safe since the moment she opened the door for me and said, "Honey, you must be exhausted. Welcome home." And she hugged me tightly. I felt better than I have felt in months. So one night, we were out having drinks in Manhattan, lovely May night. We were having margaritas. I'm looking at my glass, and I feel, out of nowhere, tears coming down my face. It was not the margarita making me cry, but I know that those tears were tears of defeat, fear, sadness. I had to pull the plug out of my startup, my lifelong dream, and it felt so bad. But mostly, those tears were caused by an inner dialogue that I kept having with myself. How the future is going to look like, I asked myself, and I answered, how dare you? How can you ask for a future when you have done every possible mistake? You don't deserve a future. This inner dialogue was killing me. My friend sees me crying. She leaves me crying for a couple of minutes, and then she comes back. She sits in front of me, and she says, "This is your lowest moment. This is how the bottom of the barrel looks like. Now you have to build up from this. You will share the story of tears over margaritas, and you will inspire other women to face their failures and to dust off self-doubt. Now that we know what you have to do, finish the drink. Let's go to work." It was weird. It was something in between a piece of advice, a prophecy. I don't know what it was, but it worked because it triggered something in my head. It triggered the memory of one of my favorite quotes. It's from Livia Firth, and it says that in a circle, we hold each other's hands, creating a network of unmeasurable strength. The circle exists everywhere around the world, and all women meet in circles. For me, that quote always meant when women get together, magic happens. And not because all of my favorite things happen to be round-shaped, but because I know that when we get together and talk to each other, things can get better. But we have to learn to look at our stories from a different perspective. We have to give our story the respect it needed. Because when other people hear us sharing our stories and they see themselves in it, immediately the weight of shame and loneliness comes out of them. We don't feel lonely anymore. We listen to other people's stories and we think, I was not the only one. They did it, they overcame it, maybe I can do it too. So this train of thoughts started in my head. First, I started thinking, that's what I need. I need a circle. And then I realized, wait a second, I have a circle. This, with this friend of mine, is a circle. Do I have to travel every time across the ocean to meet with this incredible woman? No. I have a circle back home. I have a group of understanding, supportive women in my corner that can help me if only I can find the courage of opening myself to them. Third thought, the aha moment that I was looking for. How about other women? How about other women who are not entrepreneurs? That never attended an international business conference, getting inspiration out of a panel of amazing, successful women? How about the women who live in small towns? They're so far away from the excitement of a big city, of a business hub, a co-working space. The women who don't live in proximity with inspiration. How about the younger women? The ones that don't know what kind of future they want, but what they do know is that they don't have any role model to look up to. Not everybody can aim to have a Forbes 500 CEO as a mentor. I can't. Nobody I know in my real life can. What does it mean? Are we doomed? Are we destined to face everything by ourselves? In our darkest times, are we alone? I don't think so. I think that we have to find a way to bring these people together, to bring the women that are on top and the women that are struggling together. And they have to talk. They have to open themselves. My friend taught me about sisterhood and female support. And she suggested that if we start this dialogue, no matter how sensitive the topic is, we can make our communities better. Because that's what sharing does. It helps us to connect with each other. It helps us to close the gap in between people that overcame their struggles and people that are living their struggles. Let's look at this from upside down. If we cannot reach the mentors we need, we have to allow the mentors to reach us. Because the world, believe me, it's full of successful women that cannot wait to share their stories with you. Because the best people in life are the ones that got it to the top and cannot wait to turn back and to lend a hand to another person, helping them coming out of the pitfall, or just, inspire you in the next action in your life. Why don't we create a safe place on the internet where all these kind of women can come together? They can sit in a circle and they can share one of their most powerful assets, their story. They can be K or they can look for K, because that's the magic of the circle. It's a constant flow of positive energy. Sometimes we give, sometimes we receive. Constantly, there is no hierarchy. We're all on the same page here. It's a safe place in my mind where women can be there for each other, supporting each other, consoling each other, motivating each other. We have to be there for one another. We have to be able to support our fellow women who are struggling. But we have to give our stories the respect it needs. I've believed for too long that I couldn't help anyone just because, let's face it, I have failed. But that, now I know, doesn't mean that I'm worthless. It doesn't mean that I cannot have the audacity to show to the rest of the world my story. But I only knew that because I had a circle of women in my corner. Because they told me, don't worry, I've been there. I got your back, sister. I've been there, you're gonna get through it, you're gonna be all right. And I keep mentioning to you my circle because I'm sure that many of you right now are thinking, I don't know who's in my circle, or even, I don't have a circle, this is not for me. Well, let me tell you this. Before I could see the power of the real heroes in my life, the real women who made it, I had to go back to the books. I've read every single word ever written by every inspirational woman out there. All those women that were taking pride out of sharing their stories. I read the words of researchers, scientists, business moguls, show business personalities, all those who faced the bottom of the barrel as I did and shared with me. Those words were not spoken to me, but I took inspiration out of them. And I could see that in my real life, I had that kind of inspiration already, but I had to open to my friends. I had to allow them to help me. So now I'm envisioning a home available for every woman with an internet connection to replicate that sort of inspiration. What if we had a place in our pockets, on our smartphones, at our fingertips, where all women can come together, they can sit, they can share the stories, and they can get support. The technologies that we use every single day for meaningless things could become our biggest ally. Social media, the constant source of disappointment, because it forces us to compare each other with unattainable, filtered versions of other human beings, could become our biggest source of empowerment. I imagine a safe place where we can all just kick the stilettos out, sit on the floor, and talk. No matter what, no matter what's your story, no matter what's your background, no matter what you're going through, it's a house where judgment and shame have no space, where we can all just be ourselves, when we can support us, inspire us, motivate us. I imagine a home where a fellow thriving woman will always open the door for you and say, Annie, you must be exhausted. Welcome home. Thank you.